Hello, and thanks for joining us again on another episode of the Absolutely Bookkeeping podcast. Today I'm joined by Claire. Claire, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your business, and the type of clients that you work with, please?
Yeah, so I've been running Mojo Bookkeeping for around 9 years. I'm a senior accountant, so I spent over 25 years in industry. I'd always wanted to have a practice, and then I got an opportunity about 9 years ago to start setting one up. I didn't start it completely from scratch. I started it alongside another part-time job, and I grew it to a point where when I first started it, I thought I wanted to do everything. So, company accounting, compliance, bookkeeping, the whole works. And so I grew it to a point where at one point I had a team of 7. We had an office on the high street. And then a couple of years ago, I was like, what am I doing this for? I'm not enjoying it anymore. I enjoyed the bookkeeping side, which is where I started. And because I'm SEMA qualified, I enjoyed doing management accounts and forecasts and budgets and that kind of stuff, which is what I'd always done in industry. So a couple of years ago, stripped it all back, sold off parts of the compliance side to a couple of other accountants and closed the office. Staff moved on. It was hard, I'm not going to lie, it was tough, but definitely the right thing for me. And now I'm home-based, I have 1 employee. And we work completely from home. And the type of clients, it's quite a wide-ranging clients. To be fair, we have a lot of service-based businesses. We have a few estate agents. We have retail and that kind of thing. I try and stay away from be it building, the building industry, and I try and stay away from manufacturing. So yeah, those are the sort of areas that we tend to focus on.
Was bookkeeping and accounting always something that you want to do from leaving school, or is it something that you sort of fell into?
Well, no, I mean, I'm quite old. So when I left school, I got quite good grades in my GCSEs, and they wanted me to stay on at A-levels, but I just didn't like the school that I was at. So I was scouring the newspaper. That's how old I am, because it was the only way you could really look for jobs then. And I found I just wanted to work, I think. I'd had enough of school, really. And I found an apprenticeship, it was called YTS back then, at the local council, and they were offering a finance apprenticeship where you got to go to college 1 day a week and you got to work in different departments. So they had like a rota system where you'd work 6 months in different departments. So 6 months in audit, 6 months in financial services, 6 months in accounts payable, etc. So I joined that, and it was like £90 a week plus my bus fare. And and that was it. So I stayed at the council for 7 years. I did a BTEC in business and finance to start with. Then I did a final year of AAT because I got exempt from the first 2 years. So I qualified in my AAT. And then I went on to do SEMA. And I was part qualified when I left the council, and then I went into industry and I worked as a SEMA accountant in industry for, like I say, 25 years. Worked for Santander, Pirelli Tyres, Oris Components, lots of businesses, mainly on budgeting and cost cutting and that kind of thing. I did some roles where I was doing pricing, commercial analysis and stuff like that. And and that was it. And then, to be honest, what happened was around 9 years ago, I was going through a divorce. There was a restructure at work, and I'd just got so much on. And to be honest, I had a bit of a meltdown. And I was just sat at my desk one day. I think it was the years as well of working in corporate environments that didn't have the same value as mine. And I was trying to go against that and do things that I was being told to do rather than what I wanted to do. And also obviously everything going on personally. And so I ended up off sick from work.
Yep.
And then I met another mum at the school gates who was running her accountancy practice from home, and she said to me, well, I actually need some help, so if you'd like to come and work for me and see if you like it, then that was it. So that's what I did. And I thought, why haven't I done this before? All these years I've been working helping a big company get richer. And actually I'm working now for small businesses, and I feel like I can really help them and make a difference. So I continued to work for her and another bookkeeper for a while part-time, and then gradually started to build my clients up on the side, and that's how it grew and where it came from.
Wow. If I could ask you, what is the one word that describes your relationship with technology in your business?
I would say probably always exploring.
Yeah.
But then I have to rein myself in a bit, because I'll be thinking, oh, maybe I should go for this one or that one, or, and actually I don't, there's a tendency not to look at, well, what is actually working in my practice rather than what do I need. But always exploring, looking for better ways of doing things, but then sort of not getting too carried away.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about your favourite. So what's the app or software you simply could not run your business without that you'd like to champion?
Well, the one I wanted to talk about today, really, that I'm just sort of exploring and really loving, actually, is Canva, because I think if I've really built my business up so far on referrals, and I've done a lot of networking. But I'm trying to sort of raise my presence on social media, and I'm finding that Canva is really helping with that. So if you are not in a place or financially, or you don't really want to hire anybody to do your social media for you, then I think Canva is a brilliant tool, because it makes it look professional and makes it look and it's quite easy to do. So the other day I did you can use this function within Canva called bulk create. So you can kind of go into ChatGPT, or you can use the function within Canva itself as well, actually, the AI function within Canva. But you could say, well, give me sort of the next month's worth, 30 days worth of social media posts for Instagram, say.
Yeah.
And you can copy all of that into Canva using bulk create, use your branding and your logos, and it will create you automatically 30 posts.
Wow.
And then you can just pick up one each day to post.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's if you just want to kind of have a nice visual representation with some words on it and your branding. Obviously, it's a good idea to have some more personal posts as well, if you're confident in talking to the camera or whatever it is. But it just gives you a nice way of posting. And there's so many other things you can do with Canva that I haven't really explored. I have got a couple of sort of mini courses out there that I've created to help other bookkeepers, and I've used Canva to do a lot of that, to make that again look visually nice. So yeah, that's the one that I'm loving at the moment.
Fabulous. And how did you discover it? Was it something that you'd seen other people use, or was it something that you sort of found out you had a problem and you needed the right solution for that problem?
I think it was actually at a networking event. I think it was at a Mums in Business networking event, actually. There was someone that came along that did a presentation on Canva, and she's now made that into her business, offering training and things like that. So I think that's where I first saw it. And it's just evolved. I mean, I think when I first was aware of it, it was about 7 years ago.
Yeah.
So really early stages, but the amount of things you can do now within Canva in that time is just, like every app, hasn't it? It's sort of grown so much.
So that leads me on great to the next question. It's sort of like, how do you use it in your day-to-day? You've already mentioned a great tip already about using ChatGPT to sort of complement it to thing. Is there anything else and you've mentioned now you also do your short courses through Canva. Is there anything else you use Canva for as well?
Well, I think it's great if you wanted to have nicely presented documents that you want to send to the client. So, you could use it for like checklists or, proposals or anything like that if you want to do it manually and you're not using some kind of proposal software. But anything really that you want to look graphically nice, and you're not a graphic designer, I think you could pretty much put anything into it.
Okay, so Canva, is there anything that, if you had a magic wand, that you could change about it? Is there anything that you think needs that kind of extra oomph in it, or do you kind of think that it really is a solid package to do your social media, to do presentations, to do the kind of visual aspect of your business?
I don't know. There are some parts of it that are a little bit frustrating, because obviously you do have to have a certain amount of patience to kind of, because obviously there's loads of templates in there, which is great about it, because it gives you a starting point. So you can search and say, you know, I want an Instagram post or a social, you know, a LinkedIn post or whatever it is. And it will give you like hundreds and hundreds of templates, and you've got all the visuals, all the, you know, you've got nice photos you can use if you don't want to put your own photos on there. So I think in some areas it could be a little bit more user friendly, especially when you're picking out templates. It's and I've sort of, you can kind of upload your branding into it, so your logos and things, and it will pick out all the colours of your branding, and then you can create different branding templates. So if you pick a template, you can then say, change this to my branding template for Mojo Bookkeeping, and it brings across all the colours, but the colours don't always sometimes exactly match your branding exactly. So sometimes there's a bit of manipulation needed there. So I think those are probably the main two things, not sort of having to sort of manipulate it quite as much, and sort of the colours, maybe need a little bit of tweaking.
Would you recommend it to all those in our industries to use? Do you think it's a really useful tool for our businesses?
I think it is. I think it is if you want to use, you know, if you want to get out there on social media and you want an easy and quick way to deliver loads of content and to deliver posts, and you want everything consistent. So you mentioned before you can do like presentations in it. So if you are wanting to do, you know, like webinars or Zooms and stuff, and you want to have presentations, you can do it all from within Canva. And again, it'll have all your branding on there. So yeah, and it just makes it consistent.
Have you paired it with any tools to kind of supercharge it? You've mentioned so far ChatGPT, which is great. So is there any tools that you would actually team it with? I know previously I've used Canva and exported to things like PowerPoint to sort of supercharge it and add automations and things like that. But I know Canva does a lot of automation now itself with kind of graphics as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I've only done my presentations from within Canva itself. I haven't actually linked Canva to anything. I don't know if you've got any recommendations on what things you might have linked it with in the past. You mentioned PowerPoint.
Yeah, I've actually used an AI software called Gamma, and then imported stuff into it to then actually add more branding of my own and specific pictures and things like that. So it's kind of like a really good tool to use for like that. And I created the Absolutely Bookkeeping podcast in Canva. That's where all the pictures are coming from that. So that is not by going to an expensive designer. It's actually me personally looking at the branding for that. So Canva can be used for so many different uses. It is really, really clever because you can actually import your own pictures and work on that as well. So if you had team pictures, if you had a team, or if you had images, say like of your workspace, you could really import that into Canva. Like say, use your branding that Canva creates for you with your logo and your colors, and create something that really is quite striking. And you can actually ask it to print it professionally for you, and it sends it off to a company and prints it off for you.
Yes, I've seen that. I haven't used that part of it actually, but yeah.
Okay, so apart from Canva being your favorite app, what is your other 3 top go-to apps in your app stack?
Well, I primarily use Xero now for my bookkeeping, along with HubDoc. But obviously, you and I were chatting before, and I'm now going to be having a look at Briefcase because that sounds amazing. So I'm going to definitely take a look at that. I also use Toggle to do time tracking. Most of my clients now, I try to get onto fixed rate pricing. But if I do sort of ad hoc jobs, I do tend to price by the hour, just because, and sometimes if I take on a new client to start with, I may do hourly rate just so I can get a feel for how much work's involved and things like that. So Toggle is a really good tool to track time. And it also just keeps an eye on how much time we are spending on the jobs, just in case of volume. I mean, most of the time I'm tracking transactions and increasing prices with clients based on transaction numbers rather than time. But it does sort of give us an idea of how much time we're spending on things.
I love Toggle, and I use the free version, and I've got it set up on my Stream Deck for different clients with buttons to start and stop at the time, because I use it to see that I'm not giving more time than I needed to for them and undercharging what I do. So it's kind of like for project-based things I use Toggle, but yeah, I totally get Toggle. Can I ask, how often do you review or update your app stack?
I'm not really good in terms of having a system, I suppose. It's just like as and when I see other things that are coming to the market or hear about things, I think, oh, I'll have a look at that. There's a community of bookkeepers that I run locally to me in Leicester, and we're quite good at getting together. We had a session a couple of months ago where it was like a working day, and we had one of our bookkeepers was giving us demos on, I think we had Apron, and we had something else which escapes me now, but we kind of share knowledge. So if certain of us are using different apps that the others aren't using, then we'll kind of come along and give demos to the rest of the bookkeepers. So it tends to be at the moment a bit driven by that, and then also if I see things on social media and have discussions with other bookkeepers.
Yeah, perfect. Have you ever had a software disaster moment with like a tech tantrum or something like that, and you've had to deal with? I think mine goes back from years ago when we used to have Sage, where you have to put the little disk in the little disk drive at lunchtime and things like that, where it failed to back up and then the data got corrupted. But that's the tech tantrums I always used to remember. We're a bit more resilient now. We're on the cloud, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'll be honest. When I first started my practice, I loved QuickBooks because I spoke to all the main software providers. I'd worked with Sage primarily when I was employed part-time by those two other businesses when I was first starting out, and I loved Sage, but I wanted something that was online, and Sage didn't have their online at the time, and so I went with QuickBooks because I wanted someone that was going to give me support, and Xero at that time did. And still doesn't, to a certain extent, have that real-time support where you can have an online chat, you can pick up the phone and speak to somebody. And when I first joined with QuickBooks, we had somebody talk over the phone with us how to create a sales invoice and how to do a template and everything, and they talked that all through with us on the phone. So it was the support that led me to QuickBooks. But over the years, I feel like it just feels a bit slow, and I've had a few issues where the QuickBooks software threw a wobbly. I had a client which was like a courier company, and they had lots of transactions all for the same amount, and it kind of wasn't refreshing the screen in time enough for me to be quick enough for me to be able to sort of match all of the transactions. And then it was coming up with things like this transaction's already been matched because it's just not refreshing enough. So that created a lot of issues, or things were matched to the wrong place automatically because it was assuming that it would match just one, and then you try and select it and then it would jump just before you saved it and things, and it was causing chaos. So that's the main one really that I can think of. There must have been others, but escape me at the moment.
Now, I'd like to ask, what is your advice for bookkeepers who feel overwhelmed by all the software options out there currently? And there is a lot of them out there.
Yeah, I think it's trying to not get attracted by the shiny new thing. So it's, if you're just starting out, then maybe do what I did, speak to sort of, a few of the main ones, have demos, see what you like the look and feel of the most. Because people are all different. Some people love QuickBooks, some people love Sage, some people love Xero. Depends what you want. Do you want, more support? Do you want, just different things? And then also try and speak to other bookkeepers about, what they see as the best ones as well, and then just take it from there.
Yeah, perfect. Now we're going on to the quickfire round. So, iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
Xero, QuickBooks or Sage?
0.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
This is an interesting question for you. What is the one piece of tech or business wisdom you wish you'd learn from the start rather than years later?
I think it's what I mentioned before. It's having an idea from the beginning what you want your business to look like, and why you're doing it, and just sticking to that and don't get swayed. So don't fall into the trap of idea that I did of growing it too big and then it wasn't actually what you wanted. So yeah, just stick to what you wanted it from the very beginning.
I love that. I think that's the best piece of advice I've heard so far running this thing. I really do think that's brilliant. My final question for you, Claire, is what app do you think is underrated and deserves a little bit more love?
Oh gosh, that's a difficult one. What have I used? That's a really difficult one. It's funny, you know, how many people don't know about HubDoc within Xero. I've taken over new clients and they don't actually realise that HubDoc's available for free if you've got a Xero license. So I think probably I would say HubDoc. So yeah.
Yeah, that is actually the most answered question, is HubDoc in that for that question. So yeah.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, so I was waiting for you to say that, so no, that's great. No,
Yeah.
that concludes our episode today. Thank you very much for sharing your journey and all about your apps. That's fantastic. Thank you for everybody joining us, and thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Natasha. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.